Hello and welcome to the Gaming Perspective Game Awards. Welcome to the pre-show. We're going to do a couple of awards here that don't really matter right off the bat, and then we're going to throw in some advertisements for some great Nintendo Switch exclusives.
Oh, you finally got some sponsors. Glory, hallelujah.
No, I'm only getting the second. I'm only getting secondhand sponsors. I couldn't even
get the
Metroid
Prime trilogy.
I couldn't even get. I couldn't even get the Razer guy from the Game Awards. Couldn't even get Razer Man.
Liang Tang, by the way, that's his name. Just saying.
So I am your host, Nicholas Downey from the Inner Circle Games Network, and the usual panel of people that you come here to see that aren't me is Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey guys, how's it going?
So enthusiastic.
Because he knows this show's going to devolve into senseless trolling at some point.
He's mentally face palming right now a little bit.
Just a little.
And also Jared.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Let's get talking about our games of the year and our categories. Should be fun.
And as always, Mr. Eric Jackson.
Yo, I'm doing fantastic.
No, Eric's our Joseph Ferris.
What was put in this coffee?
I'm borrowing. I was trying to borrow from King. I hope he doesn't sue me.
I could tell. I could tell.
My favorite part of some of the Game Awards this year where it's like people didn't realize they had microphones, so they felt they had to yell the whole time. Oh man! So
what's going on, guys?
Gaming Perspective 2018 Game Awards for the first time that we've ever attempted this. As you can see, we are sponsored by PlayStation. The official licensed PlayStation pony is in the background. So yeah, this is going to be a great show. It's going to be a little weird on the formatting because I'm still trying to figure out the format of the show as we go. So it's going to be a great time. Is this where we cut to commercial? Like, I feel like this is where we cut to commercial.
Like right off the rip.
Let's go to
a commercial.
I don't have a Death Stranding trailer. I tried to get Hideo Kojima, but he wouldn't respond to my tweets. And funnily enough, Kanye wouldn't respond to my tweets either. So,
man, I'm like, please keep Kanye away from Kojima.
I said it in our chat, and I'll say it here: the entity now known as Ye better stay away from Death Stranding.
Hey, he puts himself into the White House with Trump in power. He can get Kojima to come hang out.
I saw. God bless you, Jeff. I love you, but I saw Kanye tweet that, and then Jeff come in and say, "I got you." I'm like,
stop.
Jeff, what are you doing? Stop! No, you don't got him.
Yeah, it's easier to get to Trump than it is like Kojima. Trump's like a celebrity like whore. He's like a chaser. So
that has been
my favorite thing was when Kanye came out and said he was going to make that video game, and then South Park went and made fun of it. I think it was I don't think it was in the Stick of Truth. I'm pretty sure it was in the previous one.
Oh man, they roasted him so hard, man.
It was like Flappy Bird with a unicorn. You were like trying to find his mother. It was Eric knows exactly what I'm talking about. It was an absolute roast session.
And the voice they had for Kanye was just like hilarious, man.
Oh yeah, totally.
The one people you don't want mocking you. It's just they will be relentless and
they show no mercy. They are they are bipartisan. They take
they
no
just don't give a shit what's gonna happen. They just do it.
All right. So I put out some polls, and surprisingly, the amount of interaction I got on these polls and how many people took these polls personally was absolutely astounding. And I have a newfound respect for Jeff Keighley's DM box because some of the stupidity that people sent me were absolutely insane.
Die, bitch.
Yeah.
Set your house on fire.
Someone asked me, they're like, how do you sleep at night? I said, if you put on a blanket, you stupid ass.
No, come on, man. How do you sleep at night? Oh, you're just guilty of the worst crimes,
in a bed.
Nick's like with a teddy bear sleeping sound.
Yeah. Well, it's the truth. Like, I don't know how else he wants me to sleep. Like, shit.
Like, why are you asking me how I sleep? That's a weird question.
They're like, watch your bag, son.
So
I can't. I don't have eyes in the back of my head.
How do you sleep at night in regards to Twitter polls over games?
Oh man,
easily.
So shout out on some of these polls. We got upwards of 600 to 700 votes on some of these polls.
Wow,
that's really surprising.
The most voted poll was. It wasn't the Game of the Year poll, actually.
Character, wasn't it?
Best lead character performance, best RPG, best supporting performance. Best narrative got almost 600, and Game of the Year got 659. I knew the Game of the Year one was gonna take off because a lot of people had some personal eggs in those baskets. But yeah, and the one consistent category that people really loved, and I'm even going to go to the point of tweeting at Jeff Keighley that it might be a good idea to have it as a category, is best supporting character. A lot of people thought that was a really good category, and I think there's a lot to be said for supporting characters. And when you start thinking about it, there's a lot of supporting characters in games that can stand out. Like, for example, in our poll, we had 2 from God of War.
Yeah.
See?
Yep. Mimir and Atreus, right?
Yeah. And that's just insane when you think about it, because you spend the whole game with those 2 characters and Kratos.
And just in case anyone was curious, we know that there was only 4 nominations each. It's because we each came up with 1, and besides, Twitter polls only offer 4 options anyways. So sue us. That's what we're working with.
And I have to stress that as well, in case anyone pops in that was giving me flack. These were our personal picks. Everyone had to choose 1. So yes, Dragon Quest was missing. Yes, Ni no Kuni 2 was missing from the RPG category. Yes, you have an anime profile picture and you sent me harassment all week. I get it.
Because we're also not frauds that are going to pick a game that we haven't really touched.
Yeah, like I'm not going to nominate a game I haven't had the chance to play. I plan.
That's another thing. Despite me suggesting it, even at one point, none of us nominated anything that we did not play. Everything that we nominated was something we played. So again, that constricts things down. Deal with it.
Yeah. Like, I want to play Dragon Quest. I want to play Ni no Kuni 2.
Mic drop.
It's just, it's really hard to find time to play all these different games.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time with The Witcher 3 this year, but I can't nominate it. It didn't come out in 2018. So,
right.
If I could, I would.
I can't nominate Breath of the Wild, even though I can't say that's the game I've played most this year, but I've plugged a lot of hours. It's got to be in the top 5.
Me too. A lot top of the year. That's from the end of last year to the top of this year. That's all I played was that game. I can't nominate it.
Mm-hmm.
I did start being able to afford AAA games consistently until the back half of this year. So I spent a lot of time playing the back half, or the starting half of this year.
Yeah, so suck it, losers.
Yeah. So I get it. Your game wasn't nominated. Now you know how I felt during the Game Awards as I screamed into the abyss and nobody listened. And no, Alden, no one on this podcast played Celeste because 2D platformers are in the bushes.
I'm not going to go that far, Alden. I didn't.
Damn, you have to go there. Damn. Ouch.
All right.
I played indie games this year, at least.
I played Dead Cells. That was great.
I will be catching up too. I will be catching up on my indie games. I will be.
So we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the games we nominated individually through the things, and then we're gonna go to the poll and we're gonna tell you who won by popular vote. And I cannot stress enough that the people that participate in the popular vote are fucking wrong in almost every category. I just want to clarify that. People have terrible opinions on video games.
I'm
okay.
Really curious to listen to your argument as to why.
Just read the winners. Suck it up.
Okay, so we're going to start it off with best independent game.
Okay, best independent game. Yes.
Independent game. I'm just going to start from the polls I posted and in the order I posted them. So we're going to kick off the awards with the independent games. What does a game need to do to be in order to be in the independent games? Self-published, self-developed, and it doesn't matter if it's one person, 50 people, whatever. So, best independent game. The 4 options that were up were Paratopic, Ashen, Overcooked 2,
Bushes.
and listen, I'm gonna throw
Two
you
is only in
a
the
minute.
bushes if you're John and you can't make a pizza.
Yeah.
Love you, buddy.
I'm clipping that. That's getting clipped. And Raging Justice. Now, in Eric's defense, Eric didn't play no indie games this year, so I had to double nominate. Shame on Eric for playing massive fun RPGs. Shame on you.
Yeah, I probably have like close to 1,000 hours in 3 games this year.
It's the
Well, yeah,
struggle,
the
dude.
just really
The
cap off
RPG
this year,
backlog
too.
is dangerous.
Yeah,
The
it
RPG
is.
backlog is an evil thing.
Yeah.
For sure. So, we're going to talk about Ashen first, which I believe was Jared's nomination, and he just basically has the game 100% completed, which, congratulations. I don't know anyone that's even
very
close at this point.
Yeah,
Yep.
you put that work in on that one, man.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So good. Well, I guess for my nomination for Ash, and the reason behind that is because we've waited so long. They've teased us all year long. It's coming out this year. It's coming out this year. When the hell is it coming out this year? Oh, it's coming out this year. Don't worry. We're just we'll promise you it's coming. Fine. And then it releases, and I didn't think we all really expected to have like this indie Dark Souls co-op game to come out onto Xbox and Steam and Xbox Game Pass day one, which is pretty awesome. But for a roughly 20 to 30 hour long game, I found it really filled that void that the Dark Souls style of games, they have to be very specific, by the way. Like, it has to be very core, like to the core style of Dark Souls gameplay in order to be considered a Dark Souls style game. And Ashen fits along perfectly in that category. And the best part about it is the co-op aspect as well. So you're never really alone all the time. It can be a little frustrating when you have other players kind of joining in, and then they go off and do their own thing, and you're just kind of left alone and you die, and just headaches all over the place. But overall, for what released so late in the year, it's a fantastic game. Like, I can't recommend it enough. Even if you don't like Dark Souls or you've been hesitant, it's the easier one out of probably any style of that game I've played. It's a great way to get introduced into the style of gameplay. So I just thought it fell properly into that category. So that's my reason for the nomination.
Very cool.
Right on. Now we're going to toss over to Sam because he put in Paratopic.
Yeah,
So
I had not heard of this game.
You have okay. Paratopic is a game. It's an indie game that came out earlier this year, made by 3 people. It's the price. It's a new studio. If it's an indie team, called Arbitrary Metric. It's the price of a cup of coffee. It's literally just $5, and it's regularly on sale for $4 or $3. If you are willing to spend a cup of coffee on a very short game, basically, it is an excellent 45-minute to 60-minute mind screw. It is Eric. Doc is one of the guys who worked on this.
Oh, okay.
This was his brainchild, basically. He did a lot of the writing and the scripting for it. Even though I think the bulk of the game's actual, like, the logic and the programming was designed by a second person, and then a third guy did the audio design and the sounds and all that. But basically, it is like a fever dream made into a game. Anyone ever have one of those weird dreams where it's like everything is just off? It's supposed to be real. It's people you might know, but faces are shifting. Things are weird. Outlines don't quite look right. You get any idea of what I'm talking about here?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what Paratopic is. It's a fever dream turned into a game that follows 3 people. One of them is an assassin who's been instructed to kill a guy. The second one is a nature lover taking a hike and getting some photos. The third one is a smuggler who has been told to take crates of tapes, like videotapes, VHS tapes, over the border. And that's all I can say about this game without spoiling it. Seriously, it's 60 minutes long if you dally and take forever. So it's not a long game, but it is worth the few bucks. Sorry, it is worth the few bucks asking price. It runs on a toaster of a PC. So if you have or a Mac, it runs on Mac too. So if you have any kind of computer at all, it will run on it. Not much, doesn't cost much. Go play it and then come talk about it. That's all I can say.
I'm looking it up on my toaster right now.
Mm-hmm. It's intentional. Oh, one other thing I should mention: due to the Fever Dream aesthetic, it's intentionally designed to look like a retro PS1 title. That's another thing. It's intentionally like a low polygon count to everything, and so that's a style choice.
Very cool.
So yeah,
definitely go buy Paratopic. Support great small developers doing great things. So the two games I plugged in, I wanted to put Below in, but I haven't had enough time to play it. Only had about five hours maybe into the game, so I felt kind of about sticking that. So I put Overcooked 2 because Overcooked remains one of the best couch co-op games that you can play with your friends or family or anyone you dislike. It's a great time. They added new mechanics. They did a bunch of great things that follow up. It's just a really overall great game, and it's a great price too. I think it's like $20. The character designs are hilarious. They actually have, what would be the word for this? Accessibility characters, I guess would be the terms. You can play a raccoon in a wheelchair. There's all sorts of characters for all different people's things. My favorite character is a bald eagle that basically just rolls around proud all the time. It looks great. The character design's hilarious. Overcooked 2 was a fantastic game. And they did some good DLC for it too that I haven't had time to play yet. Raging Justice was a side-scrolling beat-em-up game, very much in the style of, I'm trying to remember the retro game it's modeled after. It's escaping me. Eric, please help me.
Streets of Rage? No.
Yeah. Yes, maybe. Yeah. I believe it's crowned as a spiritual successor.
Yeah. I would say from the previews and insights that I've seen about it, it's definitely like in that spiritual successor vein of Streets of Rage, like side-scrolling beat 'em up type games.
Yeah,
Double Dragon, stuff like that. It's
a real throwback. It originally started as a project by Nick Macon and his wife. They started developing it on the side, on top of working and everything else. I remember he was the first interview I ever did on a podcast back in like 2016, maybe 2015. And originally it was going to be an Xbox only game because that was what they could afford to put it on. They were using the ID at Xbox program. But luckily enough, later in the line, back in 2017, they got picked up by Team 17, which everyone knows for Worms, The Escapists, things like that. So they got a bigger budget, so it was able to launch on more platforms. It was a really, really fun and short game, but definitely worth checking out if you enjoyed the Streets of Rage series. I'm sorry to people that are sitting there going, what about Celeste? What about this? I did not get time to play these games. These were the best indie games that I played this year and had the most time and fun with. So, because Eric didn't have a indie game because the man went boldly where no man has gone before and tried to tackle multiple RPGs in 1 year. So the actual winner of this poll, by popularity, with 445 votes in total, with 2% of the votes, Raging Justice, with 13% of the votes, Overcooked 2. With 29% of the votes, Ashen. And with a whopping 56% of the votes, Paratopic takes the Best Independent Game award in a whopping showout. So congrats to Arbitrary Metric on being nominated and winning the award. And an awesome pick by Sam as well. I'm really happy to see this game up here. And yeah, so that's the first award category. We'll be kind to a commercial about corn nuts.
Corn nuts.
What?
Corn nuts, Jared. Corn nuts.
Fast forward, PVR.
Don't you know why? Don't you know why we're powered by corn nuts?
We're powered by corn nuts because the official licensed corn nuts page follows Narfi on Twitter
For some unholy reason.
Jared's like,
honestly-
what are we doing? Jared's like, what are we doing here?
Oh man. Next category. What's
All
going
right.
on?
So next category. Keep in mind, this is still the pre-show, guys. We got tons of exclusive insights.
Ah,
to-
crap.
There are still tons of announcements to come.
Yeah,
That's when we're at the 2.5 hour mark and everyone's legs are like, oh, my legs are killing me.
Yeah, 2.5 hour mark when we hit the halfway point. 4 hours later. Oh my god.
All right. So next up is best narrative because we're jumping from indie games to narratives because pacing.
Okay.
So the nominations for best narrative are Detroit Become Human, Marvel's Spider-Man, God of War, and Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay. Who in the heck nominated Detroit Become Human? I just want to talk. Don't worry.
This guy.
That would be Jared.
We'll talk later.
We'll talk
talk
later.
What did I do?
Behind the studio with a baseball bat to your knees. Don't worry, it's the $25 baseball bat PUBG DLC for Harley Quinn. It won't hurt that much. Please sponsor me, PUBG, please. Anyone? All right. So we're going to talk about this. And the first one that has to go is Jared for picking Detroit. So, Jared, why is, considering I know how many games you played this year, this actually really had my curiosity. And this bugged me when you sent me your list. I really need to ask. Detroit Become Human is the best narrative game you've played this year, which is an accomplishment because I know how many games you've played this year. So why is it the best narrative?
Well, I was trying to be diverse in my choices, honestly. Like, I was trying not to pick Red Dead Redemption 2, tried to not pick God of War because I knew those two would probably end up being picked. So I was like, what else did I play this year that'd be really out there? Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that's a good one, but I kind of liked where Detroit Become Human went with the story with what I played. I actually really enjoyed the story. First time I've ever played any David Cage's games.
There you go, Jared. Stand by your pick.
I liked it. It was good. And you know
You
what?
don't
It's
have to
actually
explain
not
your
that bad
stuff
of
to
a
them,
game.
Jared.
I may be an Xbot. I'll appreciate PlayStation game tools. Yeah, there's a reason why I got a PlayStation 4 Pro.
Tell them, Jared, like the studio, they may be scumbags, but they put out a damn good game.
Damn right they do. I'm saying, bunch of fools.
Where's that picture I use all the time? That's a hot take, fan. That's a hot take, fam. But it's
This ain't it, Chief. It's a hot take, but this ain't it, Chief. Sorry, Jared. Try over again.
You know what,
I'll
Jared?
in the bushes.
I appreciate you for your refuge and audacity. So I
thank
will
you.
give Jared commends in the fact that even though I'm not a fan of how Quantic Dreams tells their stories, I find them very heavy-handed. You cannot deny the fact that they have put out some of the best narrative-based games, and they were doing narrative-focused experiences before a lot of people were doing it, before it was cool to do those kind of experiences.
Right.
Like Heavy Rain was out way before other narrative only experiences came out, and Heavy Rain is actually a Oh, I'm gonna physically cringe saying this. It's actually a decent video game.
You thought it was good before all the crap went down earlier this year.
No.
Just admit it.
End of 360 generation to Xbox One and PS4 generations when I started having back-to-back Quantic Dreams. There was stuff before that. If anyone ever wants to really understand how weird Quantic Dreams is, look up the Fahrenheit end credit scene.
Yeah, Fahrenheit is weird.
The cast is half naked and David Cage is dancing with them all.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. Not gonna lie, it's just a little sketchy. You guys showed me that one day, and I just was like,
"Oh yeah, we sent that to you."
How was it even created? Why?
The best video is still by any means. Watch any Quantic Dream games with the facial animations dialed up to 500%.
That one's good. Don't get me wrong, that one's good. But forever, the crown jewel will be Press X to Jason.
Oh my god, Jason!
Press X to Jason is the best. No question, best.
No, I respect the fact that some people were saying Detroit has a very strong narrative story, and I'm sure that the narrative it tries to tell is very deep and not heavy-handed at all. So I have to pull up the lists on who picked what because let's see. Oh, I didn't put anyone's names. Okay, so best narrative. Okay, Sam, you picked for best narrative. You picked Red Dead Redemption 2.
I did, yes.
I think I'm going to regret this, but why, Sam? Why did you pick Red Dead Redemption 2 for best narrative?
Not sure why you think you're going to regret it. Because this game is like 3 or 4 seasons of an incredible HBO show packed into one game. This game takes you on a journey. I don't want to say too much because I know some of the other categories that are coming, and spoiler alert, Red Dead is nominated in those two. But the way this story is told, the way it sets up the first game and everything that happened there, and when you understand the toil and the work and the sacrifices that happened in order to make that a thing, in order to make Beecher's Hope, the ranch, a thing, in order to make, John Marston a thing. And seeing this gang, seeing them all try to hold on, even as civilization is creeping up on them in this living, breathing world, it's incredible. I could not. It was tough. Don't get me wrong. It was insanely tough. But yeah, that's why I gave it best narrative.
Yeah, I definitely see why. I got a chance to play a little bit more, not a whole lot, but I'm starting to see things take shape, and I'm like, I've got a plan.
You just need some money.
You just need the cash in our pocket, Arthur.
Oh yeah, and that's a side note. The Dutch memes are a fantastic thing. I love them. Please send me your Dutch memes. I love it.
Yes.
Tahiti. It's a magical place.
I had a goddamn plan.
But I need money for that goddamn plan. But I need a goddamn plan to go get that money. But
the only thing I would ask, like, how did he get these people to follow him?
I don't know.
This is not a spoiler, but I like what Hosea said. Eric, I don't know if you guys remember this, Eric and Jared, but Hosea and Arthur are talking at one point, and no, excuse me, it's Arthur and John are talking at one point, and then because they had just talked with Hosea about a job. And they're all, was Dutch always like this? Has something happened to him? Is the pressure cracking to him? And Arthur's like, no, I just think we're seeing the man he always was.
Yeah.
And that's the way I interpret it as well, is that they had just been successful up until the events of this game. So the man that Dutch was truly was hidden. That's the way I interpreted it.
And we all know people who are like, somewhat odd in their approach on things, but they just have a way of like leading and being charismatic and talking, and something about them you just kind of go,
Exactly.
I don't get it, but they're like a moth to a flame.
Exactly. And it's like they're charismatic and they're fiery, but then there's something off.
Right.
Something just isn't quite right. So yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
Best narrative.
Very, very good points about best narrative. I agree.
All right. So another nomination was for God of War. which I'm looking back through it. I kind of put words in Jared's mouth. Shout out to Jared for owning them, but I just realized that I was looking at the wrong thing. And he actually, for best narrative, he actually voted for God of War, but he stood by Detroit Become Human with iron conviction. So I give him points for that. So basically, I rounded out this category with, because both Sam and Eric picked Red Dead Redemption 2 for best narrative. Jared did a great job of explaining why Detroit Become Human was a great narrative experience. God of War as a series, I wouldn't consider the games prior to the 2018 release to be good narrative experiences. They were okay. They were fun, they were angry, and the combat was a lot of fun. But 2018's God of War made you think. And for a video game to make you think, that is a challenge within itself. And what they managed to do, and managed to take such a one-sided character like Kratos, who we only knew anger from, and convey all these different and complex emotions into a character that did not have these prior, is an absolutely amazing feat in itself. It's one of my favorite experiences this year, this generation, because of how much they managed to change his character and how much depth they managed to give his character. And the added depth of side characters. You felt like every side character was important to the story and provided depth. And it was truly a unique experience. And I appreciate how much depth they put into the experience, considering the game was only, if you played main storyline, 20 hours long, maybe?
Yeah.
Like if you didn't do
2025, yeah.
Yeah, run it
If you didn't do like all the side.
Yeah. If you do all the side stuff, it's closer to 45, 50. But
yeah. So a really great game. And I really feel like the final nomination, which went to Marvel's Spider-Man, I feel like this game would have been higher up in the list if we didn't know so much about it going in.
Yes, that was a serious problem for this game.
But the biggest problem for me heading into Spider-Man was I was looking for villains to the first two acts. And then the third act, it wasn't like, whoa. It was just, oh, there we go. Finally, I got to the end.
Oh, finally. Jeez.
You should never use something from like the last 3 hours of your game as a trailer.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man, man, that game shook me in the final act. Mm-hmm. That last 30 minutes. Whew.
Shooketh. Shooketh to the core.
I remember because Sam finished it first, because Sam always beats me in video games. And Sam's like, wait till you get to the. I was like, just close to the end. I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling that last half hour.
It throws a couple of gut punches at you.
Yeah. I cried for a solid 5-10 seconds. Like I shed a tear.
Mm-hmm.
It was very well done, and they took risks for expected. I can't go into that because I eventually want Jared to play Spider-Man. But
is that going to happen, Jared?
Sorry, what?
Is that going to happen? Are you going to play Spider-Man?
Maybe eventually. Like it's been on sale. It's probably going to go on sale this holiday. I might pick it up and play it.
All right,
but
that sounds like a slow no.
That sounds like an excuse.
He's letting us down. He's letting us down easy, guys.
Potential yes. Okay, there's not a no. It's a potential long-term maybe commitment.
So the same way I'm going to finish Dark Souls Remastered. Gotcha.
You're a fool.
But regardless, they took a lot of story risks with some characters. And I think the emotional payoff in the end was very well done, and they did a masterful job setting up for a follow-up, which is a challenge in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So for best narrative, and we had 507 votes in the best narrative category. So taking into all that, oh, I lost the window. There it is. Go over there. Damn it, Windows 10. So narrative. With 4% of the votes, Marvel's Spider-Man. So ignore any previous statements I just said about how good the narrative was in Spider-Man. 8% for Detroit Become Human.
In the bushes.
22% for God of War. And a whopping 66% for Red Dead Redemption 2 for best narrative.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn unanimous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people have spoken.
The people have spoken, and half of the people that voted probably haven't even finished the game. Because I know I damn well haven't. And all I'm saying is if I cry at the end of Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm slapping all of you. All right, so we have to have a musical interlude now.
All right.
Do we have to give a perspective orchestra, or no? Is that not a thing yet? Or
we had two of them at the same time going. Just
given
for time constraints.
I looked over the budget for our orchestra that you gave me, and I can afford to have one of my brothers come in and strum a guitar once and then leave.
Deal. I'll buy him coffee.
Not sure if that's in the budget anymore, Sam.
Oh my god.
Just falling apart.
Budget cuts are all over here, okay? We're not getting the clicks we used to.
No bonuses? No bonuses?
No bonuses. No bonuses, Eric.
Jelly of the Month Club.
Jelly of the Month Club. Can you imagine?
Oh, boy.
Meat of the Week.
Oh my, that sounds terrible, man. That sounds like a horrible club.
All right, so next category. Best lead character performance. And the options are Brian Deckard from Detroit, Roger Clark from Red Dead Redemption 2, Yuri Lowenthal for Spider-Man, and Christopher Judge for God of War.
Talk about an all-star list.
And I had to cut people out because there's people that did, like, there's obvious, like, people like the wonderful woman that played Cassandra in Assassin's Creed that everyone's fallen in love with. She would be a great choice as well. There's just, this has been, the past 2 years have been really weird in the fact that there's been so many amazing lead character performances. And this category is only going to get worse in 2019 when Death Stranding drops and we have to try to figure out who we nominate from that. Considering half of Hollywood's in that now. So
that's a 2021 title. Just saying.
Yeah, shush. We have exclusive trailers.
I know. 3 years worked on the game.
It's going to be me walking through the mountain.
The guy from Assassin's Creed must be like, you guys know I was in this game too, right?
Yeah, poor dude. Shout out.
Who?
I mean, no one talks about that dude.
Poor fella.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with Jared again because he nominated Brian Deckard from Detroit. So if you want to give us a little bit on that.
Oh, again, I think it was another character performance that was really kind of top notch with all the games I've played this year. It kind of sucks because my next choice beside him would have been from Assassin's Creed, and I played as Alexios, and honestly, I didn't really like the acting for Alexios at all very much. So kind of regretted playing him a little bit. I wish it was Cassandra, because from what I've seen with Cassandra, she's way more badass, and the voice acting to me is way better. But Brian Deckard, he really, I think, stood out with his performance, and just to me seemed really good. So that's my pick.
Fair enough. I've heard tons of people say that he was a absolute star in that game.
He's
And
really good.
am gonna bite the bullet, and I will buy the Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit 3-pack that's on for like $30 or whatever up here. I will bite the bullet, and at this point, I just don't think I can get away with not playing the game because my curiosity has been piqued, whatever you want, whatever word you want to use there.
Well, it's funny because like 2 categories now. I've picked Detroit Become Human, and I've never played David Cage games before, and it's the first time I've ever played any games like this before, really. And I really enjoyed it. So I like, if you're hesitant but like the previous games, you're probably going to end up really liking it. Just saying. Just throwing that out there.
Okay. I'll think about it. I'll probably just end up killing everyone because I make terrible decisions in those kind of games.
Don't save the fish.
What?
Screw the fish. Stomp on it.
Okay.
You'll find out.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, I started Detroit earlier in the like right after it came out, but I kind of got sidetracked on some other stuff, so I got to get back to it. But yeah,
it's good. It's good.
Yeah, man. No. I mean, dude, the parts I played, I was like, wow, this is something.
Oh yeah, it speaks on a pretty interesting topic overall. That's for sure.
Right. And now, Sam, you picked Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
While I don't think it needs a lot of explanation,
it really doesn't.
Why don't you give us a little spiel on it?
I'm not going to give you a spiel. I'll say one little thing, basically. Eric and Jared will know what I'm talking about, where his performance is incredible and it wins you over the course of the game. But the moment I knew I was sold, the moment I knew was just 2 little words. When he breathed in deeply at one point and just said, "I'm afraid." And by the time you guys know the section I'm talking about, and by the time that happened, I was like, "Holy crap!" Because it's not at that point. It's not what you're saying; it's what he's not saying that carried the weight of everything. Like he carried the weight of the entire gang on his back as the enforcer, and it was just.
Yeah, he was the cleanup guy, right? He was the enforcer, the cleanup guy. He's the one that went and tried to fix all the mistakes and look after everybody after everybody's trying to do something to be productive for the game, but they end up screwing up, and then Arthur has to come in and clean up the mess and fix everything. I mean,
and the way everything snowballs from there. Yeah. I'm not going to spoil it because it's such a long game, and it still came out, not quite 2 months ago, but yeah, absolutely. In a year of standout performances, I hope this guy gets work again. I mean, who am I kidding? He's going to get work again. This guy can have any video game voice acting job he wants.
Yeah,
for sure.
He brought a tremendous amount of heart to a character. Like, and Sam, we talked about this. Like, and I think a lot of people actually mentioned this when they first revealed that you're going to play as Arthur Morgan. People were like, who's this guy?
I was one of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm saying, like, I think a lot of us were in that. Mm-hmm. And by the time you finish this game, you're like, yo, this is my bro.
This is my guy.
This is my dude.
John Marhu.
Yeah.
This is, and I can't believe I'm saying that. I cannot believe I'm saying that. But there you have it. Like, Arthur Morgan may only be the protagonist of this game. That might be the only game he's ever the protagonist of. But he will forever. He's going to go down as one of my favorite protagonists of this generation.
Hands down. Definitely.
I almost feel like he owns like Red Dead over Marston now.
I easily.
I
I'm sorry, but John Marston's cool and all, and he was the original Red Dead Redemption guy, but Arthur Morgan, his character, his overall persona, just the way it's been built and how the story is constructed, you just go, it's really just John Marston trying to live his legacy, even in the first game. Like, he's not trying, like, John Marston is who he is because of Arthur Morgan. Sort of thing.
It's like you appreciate the first game and John more because of this game and what Arthur Morgan did.
Exactly.
That's the best way I can put it without spoiling. So
I agree.
Yep, I would agree with that too.
And that's I've only played 2 chapters of it, but I loved him right off the get-go. Like, you can't shame me. I do not care. I will wait just for that. I will wait till 2019 to even pick Red Dead back up again.
Your loss.
Yeah.
You're not fooling any of us. It's your loss, dude.
Wasting his time with the ball-headed Hitman.
Touch the hand. Don't want to hear it. Touch the hand.
I'm joking, Nick. I'm joking. I like Hitman.
Agent 40 who?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I love Hitman. I also love Hitman.
Master of the homing suitcase.
Y'all need to listen, okay? Because if we want to start dissecting games like that, we don't want to talk about Red Dead, okay? Okay, let's move on. So, Brad Deckard for Detroit Become Human. Sam nominated Roger Clark. Eric had Roger Clark as the first, but his second choice was Yuri Lowenthal for Peter Parker. So let's hear about that second choice there.
You got it. Yeah, he was my choice because right now I haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know how that thing goes, but as a Peter Parker, like I know he was just the voice actor. He wasn't the mocap guy, but just owned it. Like you just a lot of ways, like we talk about like with Arthur Morgan, like you felt for this Peter Parker, and I think he kind of encapsulated more of what the actual comic Peter Parker embodies versus what the movies have ever done. And so that's pretty much kind of why I went into that, and just the heart and feeling that he brought into it. Like you said, when you get to those final end moments of that, it just you felt the weight of what Peter Parker has to endure as Spider-Man, and just like an everyday guy who has like this responsibility, this weight on his shoulder, and the whole thing. And I think this guy really conveyed that.
Yeah. We can people can argue who was the best Spider-Man. Like Tom Holland's better in some aspects. Andrew Garfield's just fucking terrible. And Tobey Maguire is still the best Spider-Man of all time. But Yuri Lowenthal completely... It's really hard when you start talking about these superheroes, because a lot of superheroes have 2 different personas that the actor has to be able to encapsulate. And you look at things like Batman, where there's been people that have played Batman that were really good Bruce Waynes, but they weren't. And then vice versa, where we've had some really good guys that have played Batman, but they weren't so good at the Bruce Wayne part. But with Yuri Lowenthal, he was such a good Peter Parker, but he was also such a good Spider-Man. That little bit of teenage cockiness that Spider-Man always has, but that vulnerability as Peter Parker was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really hard to be able to change mindsets from being a very cocky person to being a very vulnerable person. And the fact he was able to switch between those was phenomenal.
Yeah. And also, dealing with being like a more mature, older Peter Parker, which is something that we don't get very often. You get it in the books, but again, like not everyone reads the books. Most people kind of know it. Not most people, but a lot of people know it from like the, movie medium, things like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I said for me as a reader of the books, like them going into this game, you can definitely tell the source material that they were dealing with.
Mm-hmm. And there was a respectful adaptation, but it was an adaptation all the same. And they go some shocking places with it. Right. And they really like lifted that off the pages and brought it into this game. Mm-hmm. So definitely shout outs to them. And I don't know if Yuri's a reader of the books or if it was just a combination of how Insomniac writers handled it and conveyed it to him. But, hats off to how they handled it. They handled it with respect. It's pretty much how I would look at it. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. They got the tone where I think even in some of the cases with Tobey's take on it, some of the tone is not there for what Spider-Man can be and what it is. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So yeah,
for sure. And also my nomination was for Christopher Judge as Kratos.
I was gonna any of those, man. You could throw them in there, dude. It was like, but yeah, go ahead.
Talk about owning a role from the get-go.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Owning a role from the get-go. There's one thing to take a role in a first-time game where you can craft what the character is, but then there's also taking over a good role from a different voice actor.
Not just that.
People have a very...
I have an interesting tidbit about Christopher Judge and about his role. When he first got the script and read it, he was interested, but when he found out it was a video game, he was actually about to completely turn it down and not do the role in the first place until he was actually persuaded by his agent to take the role. So we might not have ever had Christopher Judge because it was a video game, but you know what? Because of how the success that came with God of War, he's probably never ever going to doubt being in a video game again. So it's a lot of people
I think you're going to see that more and more too with how video games are developing. You're going to see more people make the cross a lot more willingly.
Yeah.
And that's really cool too, because I loved his take on Kratos. I was worried in regards to like how it was going to be to have a different Kratos. I was kind of like, not sure how I feel about this and how this is going to go. But the first time he opens his mouth in God of War and starts talking, his voice hits you in the chest. Like if you're sitting there and you're playing this on a big screen TV with headphones on, it is an experience just in how he talks and how he conveyed that character, how he perfectly portrayed older, grumpy Kratos.
Well, he has a very deep, strong, commanding voice that you don't normally hear. So it's also very unique and stands out to the human ear, because how many people do you have or that you know that you encounter that have a voice kind of like that? You don't. So when you hear something like that, you go, whoa, that matches up with the character quite well, because he's supposed to be a god of war. He's supposed to be the Greek god killer sort of thing. And you go, this fits really well.
Yeah. And honestly, I want to highlight like a couple of things with his performance. Not nearly as many lines as Kratos has had in the past.
No. He's not angrily yelling about everything.
Right. So when he spoke or when he said things, it really meant something. And like the weight that Christopher brought to it was like, it was like very deliberate, you know, in a lot of the ways, like he delivered the lines. And like you said, you know, grumpier, older, but I would say also worn down and tired. You know, like a guy who's been through a lot, a guy who is probably, quite frankly, just tired of fighting.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not the young, obnoxious guy he used to be, and he knows it. He's got to make things matter. I was actually watching a friend start that game for the first time. No history with the God of War series, but I was like, hey, have you heard of God of War? And he was like, yeah. I was like, maybe you should try it. Pick up the controller, try it out. So he started, and watching the emotions play out over my friend's face was simply fantastic. You know, watching his reactions to it, and it instantly got him. You know, hook, line, and sinker. And it's like, that game is masterfully crafted, and Christopher Judge's performance is a huge part of that.
Right.
For sure. And now we're going to get to the voting. With 175 votes, 9% of the votes for Brian Deckard for Detroit, 9% of the votes for Yuri Lowenthal for Spider-Man, 19% of the votes for Christopher Judge, and a whopping 63% for Roger Clark for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Well deserved.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
That's my boy.
All I can say is I want to see Roger Clark in everything now. I want him to be the next Troy Baker. Actually,
I'm okay with that.
I was doing a fantasy list with a friend of who we want to play in a game, I want them to take the lead character from Mafia 3, do a sequel to that game, and I want them to replace the stereotypical Irish guy they had in Mafia 3 and put Roger Clark in there instead. And let's just make a game about that.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's like my dream voice actor list right there. So now,
where's he from, by the way? Do you guys know?
Roger,
He has an accent.
Roger Clark?
Yeah.
I believe he lives in New York, but he's Irish. But that's as of right now. He's Irish American by birth.
Okay. But yeah, his accent seemed pretty strong when he took the award.
He was born in New Jersey, raised in Ireland, and trained in the UK.
Wow. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah,
because he definitely had an accent of some sort. You know, so.
Yeah, he's only got 4 things. He's got a few things. Yeah, not really anything like hugely notable. But I really hope he takes off from this because he did an absolutely amazing job.
So good.
So now for the most disappointing category that I've ever had the displeasure of doing. Best RPG. This whole category could go in the bushes.
Don't mess with an RPG.
Only one game can go in the bushes. They're good, sir. Because I know exactly which category you're going to pick, and Baldur's Gate goes in the bushes.
No. Assassin's Creed goes in the bushes, good sir.
Tragic.
So we're going to Sam first because this man is trolling me, or has to be trolling me, or just didn't play any actual RPGs this year. Because this man put Monster Hunter World in the category for best RPG after I had a 10-minute rant last episode about how Monster Hunter World should not be an RPG. So Sam,
well, my dear sir, you were the one who said, oh, you can't nominate something if it looks good or based off of what other people have said. It has to be the game you've played. And I went through all the games I've played, and the only one that can be shoehorned into the slot of RPG is Monster Hunter World. Look, you don't need to tell me about how it doesn't fit. You're preaching to the choir there, buddy. You are preaching to the choir. But it was that or me not nominate anything. So there you go. Be happy with.
Well, you're role playing the character hunting monsters, right?
We're stretching the definition, Jared. We're stretching.
Hey, Nick would have lost his mind. I almost put Destiny in there.
Oh my God. Okay, I would have lost my mind too, Eric. Come on.
Okay.
I figured that was too much of a stretch. So that's why I backed out of the category since I didn't play any RPGs like that.
Well, see, in your defense, you're playing catch up on backlog. I knew you would have nominated The Witcher 3, except for the fact that, it came out a few years ago. I still think it's a valid vote.
Quite frankly, that game should be nominated like every year.
Yeah, fair enough. I really don't have an issue with that. Yeah. Jared, you nominated Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You just go full into the bushes, no feet sticking out.
It's something from this year, and it's an RPG. What you got? What you got?
Where you at, fam?
So, would you nominate from this year, buddy?
Excuse me. So Jared, why is Assassin's Creed Odyssey your best RPG for this year?
Because it really is such a fantastic RPG, or action RPG game. You watch there, bud. You watch. I'm watching you, Mr. Nick. Let's be honest. We all got an RPG set in a mythological time with Greece. And we never knew that we needed it, but we kind of needed it, and we didn't know we needed it, and then we got it, and we're like, holy crap, this thing's freaking amazing, so we got it, and we enjoyed it. We had Origins the year before. That was my game of the year from last year. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It was one step up from Origins, so honestly, overall, it's a damn good RPG, and it'll never, ever deserve a spot in the bushes. Just saying.
Talk that talk, Garrett.
The fact this is the whole thing. This is back. This goes back to when we did a best RPG category the one year on one of the shows I was on, and someone said Horizon Zero Dawn. I wanted to slap them silly. Just because it has RPG elements doesn't mean it's an RPG. But Assassin's Creed Odyssey does tick all the boxes because there's a skill tree, there is skills you learn, and there's multiple story outcomes and endings and decisions that affect the world. So it's an RPG. I may not like that it's an RPG or classify as an RPG, but by definition, it's an RPG.
That's okay. I voted for Kingdom Come Deliverance in the poll. Just saying.
Apparently, no one else did.
Oh, are you talking about Baldur's Gate? Of course not.
Okay, so Eric couldn't nominate anything because he did not have the opportunity to play anything from this year's RPG. So next year, Eric will be able to give us his 2018 RPG pick.
And my indie picks. Yep.
Yeah. So
hey, but I'm proud of the games I beat this year.
I come up with two, but the problem was like everyone else, I had a backlog struggle, so I was kind of thin on the RPGs. My original nomination was Kingdom Come Deliverance. One of the best RPGs, first-time RPGs. And this is my main thing, is this game is in a category, to me, all its own, because all these other nominations for RPG of the year are on their, like, 7th or 8th game in a series. Kingdom Come Deliverance is the first game from a developer.
That's a very good point.
That's why it's so huge to me, because yeah, they didn't get everything right off the bat, but they didn't have a past track record to draw from.
Trash.
Do that. And on top of the fact this was a Kickstarter game. Oh God, why is Jared laughing? Why is Jared laughing?
Eric. Perfect timing.
Eric?
Yes, sir.
Oh man.
No.
It's just because you always post Oscar the Grouch. Oh, I love Slash.
Okay, y'all need to shush. Kingdom Come Deliverance is greatness.
That's great.
And the amount of disrespect that was played to Baldur's Gate 2 in this
just the right amount of respect.
Dude, it wasn't from this year. It shouldn't have been eligible.
Damn it, I bought it this year, so it counts.
That doesn't work. That doesn't work.
They updated it on Steam last month. It counts.
No.
There was an update.
This is yours, Nick.
No,
this
it
is
is
for
not.
you.
No, it
it's
is not.
yours now. It's yours.
Okay, so back to the voting. Like I said, the general population of gamers doesn't know anything about video games, apparently. So, damn it, I clicked out of the... This is annoying. All right, so, for the best RPG of 2018, with 9% of the vote, Baldur's Gate 2. Kingdom Come Deliverance with 21% of the vote. Monster Hunter World with 22% of the vote, which endlessly made me rage internally. And with 48% of the vote, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
I need to make sure I play a ton of RPGs next year so that I never have to see the RPG category again. Now we're on to the next category, which is Best Supporting Performance. So,
another one for me.
You know what? Just shush. Just shush. So, Sam, you picked a really interesting one that made me rethink a few things. So you picked Mimir from God of War.
Fantastic.
Give us a little bit about that, because I completely glossed over that, and then when I started thinking about it, I went, huh.
Well, I mean, I'm not really sure what there is to say, but he had a great performance. I loved how snarky he was. It was a good counterpoint to Kratos. It provided a good foil for him, because Kratos and Atreus didn't really have, it wasn't a foil type relationship. It was a learning. They weren't opposed to each other. I mean, at certain points, yes. But with Mimir, it gave Kratos... Excuse me. Sorry about that. Still recovering. It gave Kratos basically someone who was smarter than him, and he had to learn from that individual. But at the same time, it was clear he didn't like him. Like, you know, when when I need your opinion, head, I will ask for it, and that type of thing.
Right.
But Alistair Duncan has a very upbeat, chipper voice. He was very bright and optimistic about everything. And so it wasn't just played for laughs. It was also a way to very cleverly give some exposition on the lore of the world, but not have it come across as just an info dump being hammered into our brains. And that was a very difficult thing to balance out. The way Mimir's stories and conversations about the world went whenever you're traveling around on boat, I thought, you know what? As far as supporting characters go, he might not be the one that first comes to mind, but I think he did a fantastic job. So
well, sure. And there's something to be said for a character being able to create a supporting character that's really has a lot of depth when he's firmly planted against someone's butt cheek for the entirety of the game. There's something to be said for that. Now, Eric picked Atreus.
Another good choice.
Another solid choice. A little bit about that, Eric?
I don't know. I just think it was just like the way like the character or the kid anchored the overall experience. And I know, again, there was another situation of when it was introduced, when it was shown, people immediately kind of went, me included, like, oh, man, I hope this isn't like some escort type thing. I hope you don't have to worry about the kid. Is he going to get in the way? And truth be told, that kid actually became more of a beast in that game at times than Kratos as far as helping you out. And they actually made him matter. But as far as the kid, as the actor himself and his part and his role in the story, those moments that he had with Kratos as a father and son, and trying to gain approval and dealing with the weight of having this father who's sort of gruff and always kind of on you or whatever. And, he's playing with those moments, even the moments where people kind of felt he was getting into that like annoying brat type of thing. But at the same time, you remember he was a kid.
Right.
Kids react that way. Kids kind of come off that way. They can do that type of thing. And then also finding out that you're a god and coming off with the arrogance. We should be able to do whatever we want to do. Playing with that, those different levels, you watch them kind of come through. So it kind of makes it the thing where you want to see where the character goes next. That's a lot for, a young actor to play with, a lot for a character to go through in this span of a game. And I thought, I can't remember the kid. I can't remember his name, the kid that plays him. But yeah, I just thought as a character, Atreus was dope, strong.
Yeah, that was Sonny Suljic.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jared picked a character that I haven't reached the point in Red Dead on. I don't think anyway. So I cannot comment at all, but he picked Sadie Adler.
Another good choice.
Sadie Adler.
Another very good choice.
A little bit of thought pattern on it.
Well, when you first meet Sadie Adler, she's this timid little housewife where her husband gets murdered in cold blood by the O'Driscolls. So she ends up having a savage hate for the O'Driscolls. Like you can't satisfy her thirst for blood against O'Driscolls. It's nuts, and how much shenanigans
wait. She's the girl you save right off the bat in like the tutorial snow level, right?
Yeah, in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So you watch her evolve. You watch her character change, go from this housewife to growing up, and honestly to being basically one of the more manly men in comparison to all the other men in the entire game. And she's just ruthless, vicious, yet kind of at the same time. But like you see her change, go from one dynamic to the other, and the way it happens and the way she changes and how she evolves is just very interesting to watch and very cool to see. And she ends up being a very important aspect to the game in general. She comes from nobody, from being a rescued nobody wife to being an integral part to the gang that is basically an enforcer more fearsome than Arthur Morgan himself. Damn, girl, what are you doing? Like, jeez.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I picked Sadie Adler.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is a very cool point in that game where they kind of play with that whole the guy needs to go save the girl. Like, say, I think she needs help. Go check her out. Go. And she's completely handling herself. You're like, she doesn't need me. She's good.
I'm coming.
Yeah. And I imagine Arthur's like,
she's good,
what?
guys.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, imagine Arthur's like, damn.
I'm disappointed in us because no one picked Lenny.
Who?
Found you, Lenny. That side quest had me rolling. That was the funniest thing. Just having when he's drunk and everyone looks like Lenny.
You're like turning around women in dresses. Lenny, is that you?
Surprised they didn't pick Uncle.
So my pick.
Oh, Uncle. Let's not talk about him. That headache.
My pick was Miles Morales, and there's a handful of reasons. I'll keep it base and simple. I thought it was really cool to watch how he grew and developed, and how they ended with him and Peter's interaction in Spider-Man. Once again, without going into spoilers for this game. The amount of growth he had through that game and some of the things he had to go through in that game was a lot for a side character to consume, and watching how he grew as a person as the game progressed was really cool. I saw more character growth in Miles Morales than I saw in Mary Jane and Peter's relationship by a country mile. So I'm really interested to see what kind of role he's going to play going forward into the sequel of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, in my personal opinion, Miles Morales does not get the proper amount of shine he does in any of the, I'm sure in maybe some of the comics he does, but where's the movie? I need Miles Morales in a full feature-length movie.
I mean, it's in theaters right now, dude.
Yeah,
that's not animated.
Spider-Man
I don't care about animated things. I think
you will. I think over time, you will get more with Miles, because interesting thing about Miles is when he was first introduced, they weren't feeling it.
No, not at all. It took some time. He's a beloved character now.
Yeah, but that was
it
not.
took some time.
Yeah, it wasn't like that when they first introduced him.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I think even if you don't like animated films for some weird, stupid reason, Nick, the fact is, I think that this film, if it's a success, it's been a huge critical success. I know everyone who has seen it has loved it. I think this could open the door for Miles Morales, as well as the fact that can I say a spoiler from the Spider-Man game?
Yeah.
Sure.
Please. Okay, he's likely going to be co-protagonist alongside Peter Parker in the sequel. It's probably 9 chances out of 10.
Yeah.
Based off of certain events. So I think that will help push him into more mainstream.
Can you imagine if the sequel to Spider-Man is a co-op game where you and your buddy, one gets to play Peter Parker, one gets to play Miles Morales?
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
You imagine if Insomniac Games makes a co-op Spider-Man game?
Mm-hmm. I'd be down.
Me too. I'm there day one. So, winner of this category. With 6% of the votes, we have Miles Morales. No surprise. With 18% of the votes, we have Mimir. With 22% of the votes, we have Atreus. And then with 54% of the votes, we have Sadie Adler.
Woohoo!
Wow.
Mimir's a good choice too, but man.
Yeah, they're all good choices.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, in these categories, there's not really a loser. It's more just really, really heavy competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, best action game category. This one will be a pretty quick one. We'll start with. Oh, I need to stop locking my phone. All right. Action game. We're going to start with Sam because you chose Destiny 2 Forsaken.
Right. A bit of an unorthodox choice, I realize. But nutshell version is, despite some of the nonsense that has gone on with Destiny, and Jared and Eric know what I'm talking about because there has been some nonsense. There has been some extreme nonsense. Even with that in mind, I think about it and it's like we have had a ton of fun playing that.
Yep.
Grinding out for different things, getting our horror story assault rifles, running the Haunted Forest, playing Gambit. Gambit is a blast. Destiny, at the end of until the next Halo drops, like it or not, Destiny 2 is the go-to first-person shooter right now. That's just the way it is. It's the only thing. There isn't any real competition in that area, and they, pardon me, they handled the action well. Forsaken actually had a really good storyline. It was well handled with some interesting reveals and stuff. The Dreaming City, my God, just the way that's hidden away in the expansion. Yeah, it's fantastic. The great things about it outweigh its problems, which is saying something because it has myriad problems.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Eric, you chose A Way Out.
Mm-hmm. I did. And I think the only problem with A Way Out is the fact that it came out too early in the year. So people just don't really remember it or have been thinking about it. But Sam will attest, we had a blast with that game.
That was a ton of fun. It really was.
It was a great experiment. I don't think it gets near enough. I think at the time it did.
The problem is that this has been a packed year. This year has been more packed than last year was, which is
exactly. Yeah, so I kind of picked this game just to kind of put it back to the forefront and kind of, remind people that, this game came out this year. And again, in the packed year, it seems like it came out last year. Because it came out so early, you would almost feels that way, right? But it could almost, you could almost put it in a category for narrative. Supporting character. It could kind of fall into all those different categories. But as far as the action and the way that game played out, it has that. It's like you're playing The Fugitive.
Yes, it is. Making a game, Eric, that the pacing requires two players to be in sync in co-op, that's not easy. I can't. Right. Getting these beats down wasn't easy. But we were talking about how at the end of the game, and some of the set pieces and stuff, it was like, whoa, did you see that? Yeah, did you see that? Are you believing this? What's happening on your path? What's happening on yours? It was really well done. Some interesting decisions, some interesting twists, but that was a fantastic game. Absolutely.
Yeah, had a lot of heart. Had, like I said, good narrative, and the tense moments were tense, and the dramatic moments were dramatic. So that's why I had to throw that one in there.
For sure. I have to play that still. I need to find a co-op partner and play that because I have it. I can't remember what game came out around the same time, and I had to do something with it. Wasn't Far Cry 5, I don't think. Because I think
Far Cry 5 did come around the same time. It was about 10 days after, but A Way Out came out pretty early in the year.
I can't remember what it was that came out.
Yeah.
But it got lost in the backlog. I need to go. It's not a long game, I know that.
And what's interesting, it hasn't popped up in any of the sales or anything like that.
That's what's weird, right? That game has not been on sale at all.
Right.
It's really weird.
And it's an EA title.
It's worth the money. I'm just saying it is worth the price, but
I have never played that
game. EA's it's been a year. It's been almost a year. It's $30, so that's the price our games usually are in a year. So in another year, we'll start dropping our sales prices.
By another $2 maybe.
Yep. And then with Ferris kind of being at the Game Awards, they didn't really mention the game. Jeff didn't really it was nominated for something, right?
Yeah.
It was nominated for Best Direction. Best Studio Direction.
But they didn't even Jeff didn't really even throw anything to him about it, right?
Yeah.
Not really. No.
Yeah. So I can see why people kind of don't remember or I haven't really been thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But Eric remembered.
Jared, you picked one that I was very happy to see make the list. I haven't had the time to play it, but I was glad someone did, and that's Dead Cells.
Oh, man. Man.
I really want to play that. That's on my indie list.
That took me by surprise, this game. Honestly, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into when I bought it. I knew it'd be this kind of fun, arcadey, side-scrolling, platforming, hack-slasher kind of game. But the way that they intertwined the death and restarting right from the very beginning, and you having to make sure you learn each stage very, very well, almost to the point where you can do it blindfolded. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to get better, or you won't get good enough to the point where you actually beat the game. Because the further along you get, the harder it gets, and the more chances you're going to die. So you'd have to start right from the very beginning again. In order to progress even further, you of course get all these equipment and stuff like that, but you just have to make sure you keep getting further and further, because if you don't, you're going to stagnate and you're just going to not get any progress. So the better you learn how to do the beginning and the early stages and to not get damaged, is the further on you'll get throughout the end of the game. And the way it's just designed works really well for what it is. And I was surprised, and it's just a damn good game. Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. That's awesome. I love when indie games make it out of just the indie game category and start hitting other categories.
Oh man.
And I'm so happy to see Dead Cells find success. It will be on my needs to play list.
It's such a random experience, though. Like, what the coolest thing about it is, it's each time you do a new playthrough, each time you die, each level is not the same again, ever. Each time you play, it's completely different. It's procedurally generated levels. So you're never playing the same level twice. It's completely different every single time you play. So you have that sort of fresh feel you're playing. You know, you have a general sort of the same layout, but it's not the same. It'll never be the same. It's really cool how they did that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And of course, my nomination should come as no surprise to anybody, which is Jared Woodleaf. This man. Nomination is Hitman 2. There's several reasons for this. I never thought the Hitman franchise was going to come back after they separated from Square Enix.
Whoopsies.
And then
Go on.
Continue, please. Don't mind us.
This man.
Please.
And then we got Hitman Season 1. And people don't understand, as a Hitman fan, Hitman Absolution on the 360 was one of the best-selling Hitman games of all time. But if you love the Hitman franchise, it was such a terrible Hitman. It wasn't open world. It was level-based. It was very linear, and it was very, very disappointing because it took a lot of the options. So when they revamped it and they did it episodically, it was a breath of fresh air, and it's what the franchise needed. And then Hitman 2 takes everything they learned from that and improves it. The level complexities, the added the added complexity in general is the fact that almost every level has minimum of 2 to 3 targets you have to check out. And the sheer size of some of the levels. Some of the levels are 2 and 3 times bigger than some of the Hitman Season 1 levels. And are multi-layered. Like, I think the final level has like 10 different floors.
Jeez.
And it's a castle, so there's different ways to get to different parts, and you can't. It's a stunning game from a rooftop that everyone should at least try it once. The original Hitman Season 1's in Game Pass. Try it. If you like it, you like Hitman 2.
You know what Hitman is? Modern day Assassin's Creed.
It's what?
A modern day Assassin's Creed. Just saying.
Listen, no, because it didn't
No,
Hitman.
it totally is, because you're an assassin. It follows along the lines of assassin, so you know there's just connection right there. And
Hitman came out first, though. So if anything, Assassin's Creed is a Hitman game following your detail of logic. So shut your mouth.
And
anyways,
Hitman's a Splinter Cell game.
Onto the popular vote where people are just fucking wrong.
Oh, damn.
A Way Out with 20%. Destiny 2 Forsaken with 23%. Hitman 2 with 23%. Mm-hmm. And then Dead Cells with 34%.
Wow, pretty close category, that one.
Really, really close category. And that one was actually back and forth between Hitman 2 and Dead Cells for a while. Then all of a sudden, like 50 votes came in. Destiny 2 had the category for like 2 hours.
Mhm.
And then I realized that Iron Lord's podcast had shared in. That's where all the Destiny votes came from. But congrats to Dead Cells. Great to see an independent developer take charge in that. And actually, a lot of that outside of Bungie there. I don't know if you consider a way out indie because it's technically through EA's indie program, so to speak. But a lot of smaller games in that category, which is really... Now, most anticipated game of 2019. I had so many messages. Where's this game? Where's that game? I had to pick one. And a lot of you guys, when I asked you for one, you sent me 2, 3, or don't forget this one. This is an honorable mention. So
I only sent one. Just saying. Just saying.
I only sent one.
Fool.
yeah, there's a lot. Sam for mentioning Rage 2 in his honorable mentions. He gets an internet high five. So the choices are Anthem, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Gears 5, and Outer Worlds. So we're going to skip Anthem because nobody cares about Anthem.
Ouch.
Poor Jared. Poor Jared.
The champion of Anthem.
This man comparing Hitman and Assassin's Creed. No, what we'll do is, Jared, why is Anthem your most anticipated game? In a short version, because I know you could probably go on for about half an hour.
Yeah, I probably could. Well, let's just say it's hitting all the right tickle spots for me for a game that I'm excited for, and kind of what I really like the most out of the game, because honestly, I like an MMO RPG style games. Those are some of my favorites. That's why I also like Destiny 2 and World of Warcraft. That game took 8 years of my life. But with Anthem, it feels like outside of Destiny, it could be the next big console MMO style game out there that really takes off in a big way and does it properly. Destiny's kind of been stumbling along, but it's filled that gap. With Anthem, I'm way more hopeful, especially with how BioWare has consistently been listening to fan feedback through social media, and they've been shaping and changing things about the game because of that feedback. So I'm just hopeful and excited to know that this game, Anthem, will be basically a fan-created game. So that's why I'm excited, to put it in a short, easy way.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly think if you cut out Mass Effect Andromeda and some other EA-related bungles with Star Wars Battlefront 2, I feel like a lot more people will be hyped about this game publicly.
Oh, probably. Yeah, probably.
Because I think that's the only thing that's holding back people's hype from this. And I think also Destiny comes into play with this game because it looks very much like Destiny, and there's the part of people that are like, oh, it looks like Destiny. This looks amazing.
It doesn't look like Destiny, though, at all. Like, if it looks as much like Destiny as it does World of Warcraft.
Well, no,
you just Warframe.
The thing is, you gotta think like a common person. You gotta think it's a shooter, MMO based, and the only thing in that space is Destiny, right? You gotta think of it in that basic of a sense. It's like the same thing as when you look at the stealth genre. Metal Gear Solid, Splinter Cell, and Hitman aren't the same game, but everyone's like, well, stealth game, same thing.
Yeah, that's true. Might as well throw Sticks in there too.
Oh, Sticks is such a good game, but no one will ever talk about Sticks with me.
So good.
My brother's
so hard, but it's so good.
Yeah, it's very unforgiving. Your brothers are also huge Neo fans as well, aren't they, Sam? Mm-hmm. So we go to picks here. Dutch memes. No, I need picks. Sam picked Gears 5, which I want to hear more about because of all of the games coming out next year. I'm very, very interested to see why Gears 5.
Because I enjoyed Gears of War 4. I really did. I thought it was a fun time. Don't get me wrong, it's probably not ridiculously memorable, but it was a blast. I'd like to go through it again. It's a gorgeous game. The Coalition proved that in under 2 years, which is insanity in this day and age of AAA development, that they could make a mechanically perfect Gears of War game, that they understand how the gameplay works. And now they've had a full proper 3-year cycle to show that, okay, we've showed respect for the franchise. Now we're going to take the story where we want to go, and we're going to try some new things. We're going to implement some new ideas and stuff like that. We're going to follow a new character. And all of that screams potential for me. And it's a little weird. I've mentioned this before. It's a little weird to be getting a new Gears game before a new Halo game, but I'm okay with it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they've got.
I think the biggest thing that's drawing me into Gears 5, and I'm not someone that's drawn into Gears of War games, is the angle they're not trying to sell this game on, but the way they're showing off this game is it doesn't look like it's just another Gears game. I don't know how else to phrase that other than it looks like they're trying to do a newer and wider direction with the franchise. I'm really excited to see what they want to do with the storytelling and gameplay mechanics, because what we've seen from Gears 5 in that E3 trailer is it wasn't so focused on wall bouncing and other aspects, but there was other gameplay mechanics at play, and I'm really excited to see what the Coalition is cooking, because they said distinctively with Gears of War 4, they wanted to stick to the classic formula and give the fans what they wanted. And then when the next Gears game came out after that, they wanted to try to play with the formula a bit. So I'm very excited to see where that ends up. So Sam picked Gears of War 5. Jared picked
Gears 5. They've dropped the of War.
No. I refuse. Eric.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Who also mentioned Rage 2 in your honorable mentions. My guy.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 2 remake is your number one anticipated game. Why, sir?
That's a good
because look at it. I don't know. Okay, honestly, I was a huge Resident Evil 2 fan. That's probably one of those games that will always have like a huge nostalgic feel for me because, on the original PlayStation, like I remember my cousin and I sitting up like all night playing through that game. So I have those feels for it. Now, seeing what they're doing with the remake, knowing that it's being built on the Resident Evil 7 engine, it just looks amazing.
It looks so good. Like, oh man, graphically, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Yeah. If it was just like a simple remaster, I'd be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll probably play through it just for, the feel of it. But getting the opportunity to kind of get this built from the ground up and maybe, have some of those feels all over again, but at the same time, kind of have a new experience. Like, I'm all on board for that.
Yeah. Dude, there's nothing wrong with that. See, the problem is, there's like 5 or 6 games I could say it's my most anticipated for next year, and I probably wouldn't be lying at that particular moment because there's so much good stuff. But Resident Evil 2 Remake, it looks fantastic. And having played it, it plays fantastic as well. The RE engine is incredible. It's nuts what they're doing with that.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the absolute insanity of all this is if you look at January, you go from Kingdom Hearts 3 release date, which is January 26th. And then you go a month from there. You are literally getting Crackdown 3, Metro Exodus, Sekiro, Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2 remake somewhere in January too. There's just January and February alone are going to murder people. I really, it blows my mind. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to physically afford all these games. Like, I'm going to have to, I don't know, rob a bunch of banks. But Eric DM'd me earlier and said he had a plan. So,
look, Nick, I got a plan.
We'll get some
Tahiti.
And we're going to buy a bunch of games in Tahiti. Nope,
Just don't kill everybody when you do, all right?
But
First, we
avoid
just
Gorma
gotta
at
get
all
the money.
costs.
All right.
We are staying away from Gorma, gents. We just got to have money.
Where's that? I don't know. Cuba?
Oh, man.
Man.
You just
So
gotta figure out how to get the money.
You just gotta get the money to get the plan to get the money.
It's like,
To make the
damn
plan.
it, Dutch, we all have plans, but we all have plans that need money. Shut up. You know?
Don't worry, I've got plans.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like I can make plans
So-
all day.
I had to sit down and I had a list. I made a top 20 list, then I knocked it down to a top 10 list, and then I knocked it down to a top 5 list, and then I got my final pick. I cannot not mention the fact that Rage 2 and Metro Exodus are literally my number 2 and my number 3 most anticipated games that are coming in 2019. Because Metro Exodus, that whole franchise is amazing, and what they're doing with this next game is a complete huge step forward. I'm so excited for that. And Rage 2, the fact that they decide to go back to a game that a lot of people panned and went, we're going to do it again. But we're going to get ID Software and Avalanche Studios, and we're going to see what we can do with it. I'm excited.
Mm.
But number 1, and I feel like this is going to get delayed out of 2019 and it's going to make this choice redundant in the end, is Outer Worlds. And the reason I'm so excited for Outer Worlds is because of how utterly disappointing Fallout 76 is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said in a video that I did with Eric about a few weeks ago, where I talked about how Bethesda had no direct competition with the Fallout franchise and it was starting to feel stale. And then it's like Obsidian heard my prayers from the sky. And they brought the creators of the original creators of the original Fallout franchise in, and they were like, hey, we're making a game. You guys might like it. It basically looks like Fallout, except look, it's got multiple conversation options. You guys like that, right? It was like that game checked all the boxes for me for what some games are missing now. And the fact that Kotaku did an article earlier in the week, and it was the developers at Obsidian stating, the game isn't as big as Fallout New Vegas, and we're trying to go for a very concentrated scale. Awesome. Not every game needs to be 120 hours. Not every game needs to consume my life for a month. I'm so excited to see what they're going to do with this franchise. And just in general, what Obsidian's going to be able to do in general. I think they're a super talented studio that no one really talked about pre-Microsoft acquisition.
Easily.
And I think people are starting to realize that these guys have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
So, in the popular vote of most anticipated game of 2019, with 20% of the vote, Outer Worlds. With 23% of the vote, Resident Evil 2 Remake. With 27% of the vote, Anthem. And squeaking out with 30% of the vote was Gears 5.
It was
I'm legitimately surprised. I'm surprised. I'm okay with that because it was my pick, but I'm surprised at that.
I was honestly surprised because it was Outer Worlds and Anthem for a really, really long time, and then Gears 5 just spiked. And like it was back and forth up until the polls closed when this episode went live. So it really just says it's amazing that we have 4 games that we're anticipating for 2019, and there's like 16 more games we could talk about right now about games that are 2019.
Yeah.
Then there's games that aren't confirmed for 2019 yet that might come in 2019. Like, it's insane.
2017 was great. 2018 has been better than 2017. Now 2019 is looking to make a mockery of 2018.
We don't know what's
nuts.
going to happen in the summertime yet. And we don't even know what's going to happen in the fall or holiday season next year.
The majority of the games we've talked about are the first half of the year. Not all of them.
Like the first third. It's nuts. Like we don't even know. Just ain't nobody got time right now, man. Ain't nobody.
All right, so we're gonna do 30 minutes of commercials. I'm gonna get a couple of esports guys you guys don't care about, and I have to nominate the content creator of the year who's going to drop the N-word.
Oh my
about
God.
A month after we nominate him for this
Congratulations, Keemstar.
award. We have a no gnome rule on this show. No gnomes. So Keemstar is this one.
That's great.
Sam is sitting there going, the PR backlash from this. No, in all seriousness, game of the year for 2018.
Actually, there was a bit of music that Ivan sent us that he wanted to play.
I'm still trying to figure out how to convey music through my computer on a Google Hangout. So
okay, if you figure it out, then play that, please.
If I can figure it out as an outro theme, I'm gonna make it work. Because I'm not sure if I share my screen, if people hear the audio that I hear, or they'll just hear my microphone audio. So
There.
I'll give it a shot at the end of the show.
Oh boy.
So nominations for Game of the Year. I'm going to start with mine because there's no chance in hell mine was going to win. I voted for Hitman 2 because it had to be different than everyone else's choices. My actual pick is God of War, but Hitman 2 is a close second for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go on and on about Hitman, but I just love the game. It ticks all the right boxes for what I want from a game. And it's just one of the few stealth franchises that's still around that I love, because I will forever be dangled by Ubisoft about a fucking Splinter Cell game.
Go Walmart Canada.
Because we had to include a Splinter Cell reference in the Game Awards trailer because Ghost Recon DLC was worth mentioning in a trailer of the best things of 2018. Anyways, I digress. And I turn over to Jared, who chose Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, I did. I don't need to say much, honestly. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's a standout game for this year. It is basically the best RPG that came out this year. Even though I love Kingdom Come Deliverance, I played that too. But I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey was Assassin's Creed. It was, again, one I wasn't expecting, but one I thoroughly enjoyed, and one that will always be a memorable experience for me for quite a few years to come. So that's my nominee.
Awesome. Eric, you picked God of War.
Yes, I did. Do I need to expand on it?
Sure.
If you want to, honestly, it's like it explains itself. It's God of War. I mean,
yeah,
God of War. Now.
Yeah, God of War is still my game of the year, even over Red Dead Redemption 2. And that's not a knock on Red Dead Redemption 2. I think if God of War had not have launched this year, Red Dead definitely would have been that. Red Dead lost some points just on some of the inconsistencies in it, not from the story standpoint, but just the gameplay and different things like that, where I felt, overall God of War delivered to me a perfect gameplay experience. So and I'm also, being a huge fan of that franchise. I think they just, for me, delivered on everything I kind of wanted them to deliver. Because after playing Ascension, I thought I was pretty much done with the God of War franchise. And I think in a lot of ways, Sony probably felt they were done with the God of War franchise.
Sony Santa Monica wanted to be done with the God of War franchise.
Right. So, and I said, if they come back with another and it's still the same, angry Kratos, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'd outgrown it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had become stagnant, and so everything that they delivered with this new game, and then being a huge fan of, of Greek mythology and of also Norse mythology, that, it just had all the notes that I wanted this game to come back with, making me feel for Kratos, which is something that you never really did. The introduction of some of the new characters, a new world, the gameplay mechanics, like all of it, just kind of all just formulated. It's just a lasting experience. So yeah, that's why it's my game of the year.
Awesome.
Fair.
Sam, you picked Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. Do I really need to expand on that anymore?
Not
I've
really.
Hell no.
I've waxed
No.
on about
Hell
Red
no.
Dead, and
Bruh.
everyone knows my pick. And again,
Oh,
Red Dead and God of War for me this year are so insanely close. Like,
Yep, absolutely.
it's just by a hair that I prefer Red Dead. It's
Yep.
both of those games are transcendent experiences. They're the kind of games that you only get a handful of them each generation, and you look back and think that's what defined this generation of gaming. And the fact that we got
easily.
2 in the same year is insanity in the best possible way.
Mhm.
Yep. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that was my third pick behind Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War. Like, I knew those two were going to get picked anyway, so it was like, I'll just keep going down my list. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'll just toss that out there, even though it's still good. But I mean, in comparison to God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, like Odyssey's here, and then the other two are like way up here in regards to, and for me, the quality of gaming that they provided this year. So, yeah, we've had a phenomenal year, and I'm really excited for next year. It's just going to keep getting better, and you know what? These developers are getting better too.
Yeah.
So you better watch out.
Yeah, but seriously, hard to choose, man. Like
It
Sam
is.
said, between like Red Dead and God of War, they both delivered like on grand scales. So,
Yeah, but you know what? So, social media gamers did not have a problem in figuring out which one they liked more.
of course they did.
This was not a difficult decision for most people, apparently. So, 661 votes, 3% for Hitman 2. Those 3%, you guys are gangsters. I know Doc's at least one of those people. Assassin's Creed Odyssey with 12%. God of War with 29%, and then Red Dead Redemption 2 with a whopping 56% of the vote.
Wow. Red Dead coming in strong.
Coming in strong. It's a shame that it was only on our show that they managed to hit it that hard and not the Game Awards.
Hey, man, I'm not going to feel bad about
I really
God of
like
War winning
this
the
whole
Game Awards.
all these categories. I've literally felt guilty about none of them, except for people still voting for Monster Hunter World for RPG. But I gotta be disappointed in someone every year. So choices. And as a fun little thing, I put a fun little poll as well. I was gonna do who has the best beard on the podcast, but obviously,
Oh,
I felt like
please.
Eric would be excluded
Please.
from this because I'm pretty sure I've had Eric refer to himself in the group chat as Babyfaced, and I wanted to introduce him as Eric Babyface Jackson, but
Sure.
so
Entering the ring,
as a fun little
Eric
poll,
Babyface Jackson.
it sounds like a 1950s baseball player name. Like, it sounds amazing.
I was thinking boxing.
Oh, yeah,
I was thinking gangster.
Gangster.
Yeah.
like 1930s.
Yeah, sure.
See?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, shut up, Kappa. Come here, Kappa.
So as a
Never
fun
take me
little
alive.
poll, in 2018, we've had 30 plus episodes of Gaming Perspective. So in 2018, who was the biggest troll on our cast this year?
Ooh.
We are looking for replacements for Sam because his numbers have been minuscule. So
What can I say?
Sam rocking in at the 3%.
3% club. Yeah, boy.
the 3% people that vote for Sam. So basically Anchor and Sam's brother. 21% for Eric.
Yeah.
I'm slightly offended that I got
21%.
Yeah, 21%.
he's offended. He's like, really? Damn.
See, Eric, your percentage is old enough to go out and order a drink. Sam
Yeah, right.
is barely toilet trained.
Yeah. I have
Um,
to consult J-Dub, get those numbers up next year. Need a coach.
Collaboration.
Yeah, man.
You just need to hit J-Dub and Verdict up, and you'll get that.
Yep. J-Dub and the babyface Eric Jackson.
Best in the business.
Best in the business. So I came in with a whopping 37%, which I'm personally offended. My video game takes are not trolling. They're legitimately from the heart. Just because you can't face facts and that your AAA game is not nearly as good as some indie titles is not my fault. I do not have edgy gaming takes at all. And with 9% of the votes is Jared, which I'm not surprised this man is excited for Anthem. So, like, so Jared,
that game's gonna prove run.
The trolliest award. I was gonna like paper cut out a troll face for you, but no one remembers that meme anymore. So
yeah,
like,
that feels good.
So yeah, so like I said, we're looking for replacements in the troll category for Sam. Applicants can apply at Gaming Perspective. This is a joke at gmail.com. Please do not actually DM me about this.
Wow.
So yeah, this has been the Gaming Perspective Game Awards. It came in just about 2 hours. Now prepare for 45 minutes of commercials and Nintendo Switch exclusives.
You mean
and Epic Game Store exclusives.
Epic Game Store exclusives.
Right,
and also, in a
off.
surprising move, the Gaming Perspective will be launching its own PC game store as well.
Okay,
Because God knows there aren't enough launchers right now.
Yeah, right.
You can play my exclusive side scroller. 25-year-old tries to make video game with no coding ideas. Please pay him. So yeah, that's been the Game Awards, the Gaming Perspective edition. I really want to thank everyone for tuning in and checking it out. This is our last show of this year. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone that supported the show so far this year and into next year. There's going to be some changes coming to the show in the new year. Those will get announced over the holidays and whatnot. So there's stuff to look forward to. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming to the channel in 2019. It's just going to be a lot of stuff going on that I'm working on, Sam's working on, Jared's working on, and Eric's just along for the ride. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that supports the channel, watches my videos, watches me yell at a camera in a live stream, and lets me de-stress after a long week at work. And I really can't wait to talk video games in 2019 with everyone on this panel. And I'm insanely proud of this podcast and how it's developed over its 30-something episodes and how close and tight-knit we've all become over the past few months. Especially when I think back and look at the year when I was thinking about the games that came out this year. I started thinking about like when A Way Out came out and like when Kingdom Come Deliverance came out. And I realized those were the time periods where I really started talking with Sam. Like me and Sam only started talking in February. I didn't really start talking to Jared till almost summer. And like me and Eric had talked back and forth occasionally on Twitter, but now I talk to these guys every day, and it's been a real trip and it's been a real pleasure. And I can't wait to do more episodes and keep giving you guys the content that you desire on this channel. You guys have any comments or anything you guys want to say?
Yeah, it's been fun.
I think you said
good ride, man.
You said it, man.
Good. Yeah.
Appreciate everyone hanging with us, and looking forward to season 2.
Season 2. Don't worry, we're not owned by Disney, so we will not get canceled.
I thought that's Netflix.
So yeah, tons of games to talk about in 2019. Going to be doing some live streams through the holidays and everything else. It's going to be exciting. Once again, follow these guys on Twitter. Support these guys. Sam has a coffee now, a coffee, whatever you want to call it. Can't say he has a coffee because that might not be the best. Sam has a coffee, which the link will be in the description. If you want to support the work that he does, which he does amazing work, support this man's coffee. Or even if you want, just send him wads of cash via PayPal. Or even if I remember the M4G comment section, you can purchase Sam with bags of gold.
Yes. Bags of Microsoft gold, to be precise. It's got to have the Phil
gold.
Spencer stamp on it.
Yeah.
Each coin says, "In Phil we trust."
Oh my god.
Bags of that still blows my mind. You gave like State of Decay 2 a 7, and people are like, "Oh, he definitely got paid by Microsoft." Give a game an average review, and they're like, "Don't you do that? You're paid for it." Yet the guy's given. Never mind. I'm doing it. It was a fantastic year. I really look forward to seeing everyone next year. Shout out to all the people that stopped by and watched this show, and shout out to Ivan, who is endlessly trolling the chat. And don't forget to tune into the Multiverse Show's Game of the Year show tomorrow night.
It's going to be a disaster.
At 8 p.m. as it's a disaster as me and Sam and anyone with a logical brain tries to stop Ivan from making Sea of Thieves a top 10 game of the year.
Oh, I love Sam's enthusiasm. It's gonna be a disaster. It's just like I'm gonna regret going on this show. Oh,
Good Lord.
man,
It's always
Anchor.
the Multiverse Game of the Year show is always one of my most anticipated episodes because it's an absolute disaster zone of different opinions on video games. Because
We're gonna establish a rule right now before Multiverse even goes live. Sea of Thieves does not count. Neither does Fallout 76. Neither one of those count, bud. Sorry.
As long as no one tries to nominate like Life is Strange episode 1, we're fine. As long as we're not nominating episodes before the full game's out. But
Life
yeah,
is Strange.
definitely check that out. All the links are in the description. We will see you guys in the new year, and we're going to have a great guest lineup that I'm working on already for the new year. So stay tuned for announcements, and we will see you all in 2019.